Dads From The Crypt.
Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 248 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. I'm joined by poor Mondo. Alas,
Alas, poor York. And the last time we did this episode, I professed my love of Shakespeare. And so if you give me like 10 seconds, I'm going to see if I still can remember this. Because when I was in high school, at one point, I'm a pretty handsome fella, aren't I? Little handsome. I hate myself. But I had to do the Romeo, the infamous but soft, what light through yonder window breaks. It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon that is sick and pale with grief, that thou her maid art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. It is my lady, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. And then Julie goes like, and then it goes, she speaks, yet she says nothing or something. And I forgot the rest of it. But I remember
bravo.
The first part's always been ingrained in my brain. And yeah, you can attest. I had my eyes closed for most of that. I had to recall that because I'm sure I messed up some parts of it. So don't quote me on that. But
that was really good.
I feel like it was pretty close.
Yeah, when I was in high school, we did Romeo and Juliet, and you could either do like a live performance or record one. So it was right around the time the Baz Luhrmann, I think it's Baz Luhrmann, did that Romeo and Juliet. Movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
So we were in school around the same time. I remember my English teacher that I had to do this for fucking hated it. But she was a Shakespeare traditionalist,
right?
In that she goes, I just don't think Shakespeare ever envisioned Mercutio rolling around with a handgun. And I was like, yeah, but he was rolling around with a sword, which was the same thing back then,
Same difference. Yeah. We tried to recreate the duel scene in my front yard.
Oh, cool.
Of ketchup.
That's so awesome. We weren't that creative. We actually just had to memorize. I didn't actually play Romeo. I was bullshitting there. I wasn't in drama or anything like that. Not that that's a bad thing. I just didn't. It's not. I wouldn't be good at it. I just wouldn't be good at it.
I think you got
it. No, I don't. But I could not be an actor because the way my brain works, and I don't mean like it's just I just can't. Like when I was dabbling in pro wrestling, I think I was really good at it when I was given a character that was really close to who I was because I felt natural doing it. But I feel like whenever I'm trying to play another character, I was never able to kind of grasp. Like I'm impressed by people that can do that. Like acting's not easy. I know people think it's easy, but it's not. Like anybody can read lines off a piece of paper, but to make it actually believable and look good. Like I always akin to what's his name that played in James McAvoy. James McAvoy that played in Split, when he has to, sometimes he's playing another character, pretending to be another character. And that's like the stuff that just blows my mind that I could never grasp. But yeah, we had to learn this because we had to do Shakespeare. We had to memorize Shakespeare plays for or parts. And but you know what though, it really did spark my love. It put the spark for Shakespeare for me. But it wasn't until my senior year of high school when we actually dug into Hamlet. That's when I fell in love with Shakespeare because Hamlet was my jam.
Yeah, I mean, as our friend Alan Katz says, he never asked an actor to act. He just asked an actor to be.
That's a great way to put it.
For those that might be confused, this is not a Shakespeare podcast. This is a Tales from the Crypt podcast, but we are reviewing the season 3 episode Top Billing as part of our Top 40 Tales episodes, which deals with actors doing Shakespeare, Hamlet specifically. Before we get into that, there's a little bit of crypt news that's come up over the last week or so that Tales from the Crypt is now on Tubi.
Or not Tubi.
Tubi. Tales from the Crypt on Tubi or not Tubi. Which is kind of crazy because like just a few months ago, it was like you couldn't stream Tales anywhere, and now it's on Shudder. Now it's on Tubi. I think you can buy downloads of the episodes officially, like I think on Fandango or something like that.
Yeah.
It seems to suddenly be everywhere. obviously with Tubi, you have to watch ads. So, if you want it completely uninterrupted, you want to go with the Shudder route. But I don't know, it seems to diminish the Shudder, the excitement we had out for it being on Shudder for a little bit. It just was like, okay, we're on this like little club. I mean, that's I want everyone to watch it, so
Yeah.
all power to them. But like, it's kind of, it feels weird. It feels like anticlimactic in a way. Like the shine off now that everyone has it.
I'm
But
gonna disagree with you a little bit because
Mhm.
you know what it feels like? It feels like when the people who didn't have HBO and only had Fox finally got to
Yeah,
see Tales from the Crypt. And
true.
I mean that in the most positive way possible because we were talking a little bit before the show. See, I need a light. I need to figure out my lighting in this fucking office. My face is so dark because I have a dark screen in front of me. My monitor's not blasting me with lighter light. So I'm gonna click to a look at this. If I click to a lighter thing, you can see me better. See,
Yeah, it's a little
fuck.
better.
It's too, or I have to open a fresh tab though. Oh no, I'm in dark mode. Anyhow, unrelated. But even today, I was getting comics at the fantastic Maximum Comics in Las Vegas. Just want to give them a shout out. The reason I got back into comics was because of EC Comics, but
Mhm.
the reason why I keep going back every week is because that's a place that really makes you feel like you belong there. It's a very LGBTQ friendly, et cetera, et cetera. They're anti-ice, all that good stuff. Very for the people and nice people to people. But I was like picking up my comics of the week today, and the young lady behind the counter had my Tales from the Crypt hat on, and they were like, "Oh my god, Tales from the Crypt! I just started watching it again. I remember catching bits and pieces of it when I was younger, but now I get to see the whole episodes, and it's really cool to see though a new generation of fans,
Yeah.
younger people, kind of." I mean, I've also read some takes online and some young people that are like, "I don't get this," and that's okay too. Don't get me wrong. I think it's
We'll get
funny
into
though.
it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's funny. But I do think it's cool though that being on Tubi, it's going to get a lot more exposure. And
True.
I really wonder. I know it's such a long shot, and I'm not speculating at all. But if all this new fanfare will, push some of these companies to be like, maybe we need to relook at this, look at this property.
Yeah. Or at least get like some remasters. Let's get the gravy train going. And yeah, it's funny you bring up Fox, because that's how I watched Tales from the Crypt, because I didn't definitely have HBO growing up. And this episode, Top Billing, is like one of the first episodes I watched where I finally
wow.
was like, oh, I get what this is now. And this episode is a personal favorite of mine. It's we'll get into our review in a moment, but if someone was going to ask me what's the first episode they should watch of Tales from the Crypt, like to get their feet wet, to understand what the show is, this is probably the episode I would give them.
Yeah, it's got all the classic elements of a Tales from the Crypt episode, and we'll get into casting and all that. But I think it's a really also a vehicle in a way for Jon Lovitz, who I think this is one of his a very very rare starring role for him in anything. And I think it's interesting that, because I always know that Jon Lovitz later in his life, I think he's you can definitely tell there's some, I don't want to say he has some bitterness, but he definitely has some of the and I hate even say grumpy old man, but he definitely thinks he could have done more than what he did as far as in Hollywood goes. And I feel from the character he plays in this, you really kind of feel that frustration for the character he plays. Even though his character is inherently a bad person, they still give you some things to kind of sink into that make you feel sympathetic for him.
Yeah. All right. Since we're getting into it, let me just do a plot synopsis. So again, this is from season 3 of Tales from the Crypt. Struggling actor Barry Bly, played by Jon Lovitz, dreams of landing the role of Hamlet, but every audition ends the same way. He's told he has talent, but not the right look. As his career collapses, his agent drops him, his girlfriend leaves him, and his frustration boils over. When he learns of a mysterious audition for a new production of Hamlet, Barry sees it as his chance at stardom. Convinced that his handsome rival is standing in his way, Barry resorts to murder. Murder.
No, they call it in Hamlet, it's murder. In Hamlet, in Hamlet, that's actually what they say.
In a desperate bid to claim the lead role, but the eccentric theater troupe and its bizarre director have something far more sinister in mind. Barry soon discovers that he hasn't been cast as the tragic prince at all, and the production is taking place inside an institution for the criminally insane. In true Tales from the Crypt fashion, his ruthless ambition earns him the ultimate curtain call as he becomes the perfect prop for a grisly performance of Hamlet. So yeah, there's lots of ways to talk about this, but yeah, Jon Lovitz is the star here, and I just love the opening bit where The woman's on the phone, played by Sandra Barnhart, and you don't know that he's auditioning for a role, but he thinks he's going to try to murder her. He's kind of sneaking up on her, and he like puts this rope like just kind of like very gently up against her and goes, "I'm killing you, I'm killing you."
I mean, he wanted to play Hamlet, not a murderer. So
Mhm.
it's very funny. It's very Jon Lovitz in that. And watching this, I kind of also was thinking about, man, like they could have done. Jon Lovitz could have done a little bit more. He also is famous for slapping the shit out of Andy Dick.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories about Jon Lovitz being kind of a dickhead. Like to a couple different people around Hollywood, like as far as like money and stuff goes. So
I don't know about the inside of it, but I will say though, for everything I've ever really saw him in, and granted, I thought he was great on SNL. I thought he was great in this. I thought he was great in his bit roles. But again, he's also being asked. I'm sorry,
Wedding Singer.
Wedding Singer, fantastic on Wedding Singer. But I do think that in this, so he's also being asked to carry a 25-minute episode of a kind of a campy horror show, as opposed to trying to be a leading man carrying, a 2-hour comedy or something like that. Hey, Jason, can we take a quick pause real fast? I'll just write down this timestamp. I really have to use the restroom.
Yeah, go ahead.
3 hours later.
Talking about Jon Lovitz trying to drive this show. I will say too, though, this was a restrained on Jon Lovitz in a way, I would say, because he didn't ham it up like I really expect him to do in a Tales from the Crypt episode, but it really worked in that some of the characters around him were so over the top that he almost feels like a straight man, even though he's playing a little bit goofy.
Yeah, definitely. I love the casting in this episode so much and how economical it is, because we start off with that one scene with the casting agent Sandra Bernhardt, who also like is the kind of person, she has a bit of an unconventional look as well. Someone, because I think one of the things I love about Tales from the Crypt is it's a very inside Hollywood show, where like we have all these mega producers and people working on it from that have been around Hollywood a long time, so they make a lot of like references and like jokes about Hollywood. And also, Gil and Al have a theater background, so this is the season they took over, so this is very in their wheelhouse. So again, we have Sandra Bernhardt as the casting agent. We have Louise Fletcher, who plays his talent agent, which is fun because she was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as Nurse Ratched. We have an episode about people in a insane asylum. So even for that one scene, it's really fun. We got Kimmy Roberts, showing up as his girlfriend. I just liked how they kind of like really tear this guy down. So by the time the murder comes, like you really like understand that he's just kind of broken by that. And then of course Bruce Boxleitner plays like the swarmy, handsome actor guy. Again, I love it when actors kind of play themselves, like play a type of themselves.
And also Jon Lovitz, like you can't just play Hamlet if you don't know Hamlet. So he was so mad. I love that part.
Right. And then we have Sean Astin, the original Gomez Adams, like playing like way over the top, but like in the way that you expect, but also makes sense for someone who literally is insane. Yeah. Like I love when he says "to my office," and then you go in there, it's just a closet, and they're like,
and the fact though, but although it's he's playing obviously a mental asylum patient, but you could also see him being that his demeanor could also be that of the eccentric director.
Exactly.
It's not. I think they're kind of playing with that, saying that it's a fine line between insanity and genius.
Right. Exactly. And I was kind of when I was watching this, because I watched this episode rather recently, and I was kind of looking for like the wordplay that they do gymnastically to make them like, because they're the audition for Hamlet, but they're not saying for the play Hamlet or for the role Hamlet.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like there's a lot of fun wordplay going on there. Even when Jon Lovitz is strangling Bruce, and Bruce's last words like, "I'm not Hamlet," because he saw that his thing was tagged as Yorick. So he knew at the last minute, and Jon Lovitz's character's like, "Yeah, I know you're not anymore," because he's killing him, but he meant literally he wasn't there to play Hamlet.
And it's a callback to also him trying to the fake murder at the beginning, and then when he actually does murder the actor with the rope later. So I kind of loved how that became in each act someone's getting strangled with the rope.
Right, exactly. And then he gets his at the end. But there is an interesting commentary as art as commerce, art as a product, because Jon Lovitz is like wants art to be pure, and not tampered by trying to sell tickets. But there's a reality where like you can't put on a big production without money. You need investors for money who expect ticket sales to come in, and you need to make big art. You need big bucks.
Yeah. Which is I think it's a fallacy, right? For everything. I mean, I've never actually listened to a Taylor Swift song in my life, and I'm not saying that because I'm too cool to listen to Taylor Swift.
Oh, you're so cool. It never happened to turn on the radio.
I don't listen to the. I might have. Well, I heard it. I probably have heard something, just not actively as I knew who I was listening to. If that makes sense. But what I'm trying to get at though is like, there's a when you get that big, when you're making that much money, like how much does it affect your artistic talent? Because now you become, and I'll even crap on bands that I love. Like I love Iron Maiden, but Iron Maiden is a business at this point. Metallica is a business. They're not just bands anymore. Their business is Kiss is a business. I don't love Kiss because Gene Simmons an ace with a whatever. It becomes a business, right? And at that point, like, are you sacrificing your artistic integrity in order for ticket sales? And I think a band like Iron Maiden has shown that you don't have to do that, because their last couple albums are like, we're just gonna put out 15-minute songs and you'll deal with it because we're fucking Iron Maiden. But anytime like Taylor Swift, she at this point, it's almost like she has stock shareholders to cater to, because if she went and did a record that was, let's say, a complete left turn from what she's doing now, while it might sell, that could be hugely detrimental to her career. And I think you see that in a lot of bands. I mean, to pick on Metallica, the Black Album was their attempt at commercial success.
Right.
And if you listen to the old albums, and then it's such a drastic change from Justice. So, but now that band is also the biggest band in the stratosphere, or one of the biggest bands in the world. And it's not like they ever stopped playing the old hits. So it is kind of that weird thing. Like at what point, like how much is there a balance there you can maintain and still be as creative as you want to be, while also doing enough to make money. And I know that's a big struggle for a lot of creative people.
Also, in Metallica's thing, they came out, that was like their 6th album or 5th album, whatever it is. So it's like, at what point are you allowed to like, okay, we have the talent, we have the fan base, let's just go make that bag. You've made like all these classic albums already. I think at some point you're entitled in a way. So like, okay, we can go, get set up.
And when I say this, I'm not actually knocking on them as individuals, because I understand it as well. Everyone's still got families to feed and bills to pay. That's the reality of it. Like I've said it with craft beer, so many breweries sold out. That said, they never sell out, but it's easy to talk shit about people that sell out. And then, but who knows how we'd all react if a Wells Fargo truck backed up to our house,
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's easy to say. But I do think though, I also do love though when you have musicians that tend to gain their fan, or artists or anything, movies. I do think we're in this really interesting era right now where I think Curry, we're going to talk more about Obsession, because no one's talked about Obsession enough. But he's going to have a lot of opportunity to make the movie he wants to make because of what he did with Obsession. And I wonder if we're going to start seeing some. We'll get into this later because we have some fun stuff we want to talk about later, probably. But I wonder how much we're going to see some studios actually take a chance at an original story, whether they think it's going to make money or not, just to kind of see what it does and see, because we're just in a weird time in media, and I mean that in a good way. Music being the tough one, because trying to make money in music right now is probably the hardest it's ever been.
Yeah, I was actually at someone's house earlier today, and he is like the touring bassist for Alan Parsons right now.
Oh wow.
And he's like, but he also he does soundtracks, and he helps people with, he does produces albums and stuff. He's like, no one's making any money except for like big live festivals. That's where the only places people can make money right now, or unless they're able to get like an online like following, because now everything's trying to be parasocial. It's more about the clicks than selling albums or anything else like that. So it's the tour. It used to be that you sold an album and you went on tour to support the album, but now you come out with an album to support a tour.
Well, there's even interesting metrics. Again, I know we're getting way off track from that. We'll reel it back in here. But there's even interesting metrics that you can see from Spotify, from Apple Music, etc., about how like even some artists are talking about abandoning the album, because they'll see like their metrics for some records, and let's say the record gets 100,000 plays. The first 5 tracks will get 200,000 plays. The second half of the album will get 50,000 plays or something. It balances out obviously, but I do feel that we have shorter attention spans and everything. That I really hope that art is not lost, but I truly think most musicians and creatives were in a really kind of odd, maybe sad state that they're making. You have to really, it's like teaching, where you really have to love what you're doing in order to keep putting the work in, because it's a labor of love, and it's just a handful of people now that are actually making livings doing it. Like I'm blown away with the amount of artists. Like Gary Holt plays in Slayer, played in Exodus, and he's even like, if I'm not touring every 6 weeks, I'm not paying the bills, or something to that effect. And it's crazy for a great musician like that with a storied history with all these different bands, who's, you think you see musicians, you see them flying in a private jet or playing in front of 50,000 people. Well, yeah, guess what? It's not all what it's made out to be. And acting's the same way. Writing is the same way. Or like you brought up, to bring it back to film, acting in film is the same way. A lot of actors and actresses aren't getting paid a whole lot for great roles.
Yeah, especially now with streaming taking all and how the rights are, the royalties are being done. They're not making much at all. Bringing it back to the episode though, this is also directed by Todd Holland. Great guy. We have an interview with him on our back catalog. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but it's definitely on our audio streams. He was most well known for doing like 26 episodes of Malcolm in the Middle. He's done a ton of TV. Most recently did Monster High series. But he also did one of the most what the fuck like early 90s movies, The Wizard.
Dude, what's funny when you said let's do this episode, I just watched that on an airplane because I haven't seen it since I was a kid. And when I was a kid, it seemed way better because I was excited to see video games in a movie. Yes. Yeah. Like the way they treat this poor kid in this movie and talk about him, it's a very big what the fuck movie.
Yeah. If you want to know how crazy early 90s kids movies were, because this is a movie where these boys are running away from home, and one of them is highly autistic and like severely traumatized by watching his sister die. And they're running away from home, and like they're being chased by all these like strangers and all this stuff, but they're trying to get to a video game competition for the big reveal of Mario Part 3. And all I remember, as a kid, is like, oh my god, they're gonna go play video games and go in this tournament. This kid has the power glove, and it's like bad.
And if you remember too, this was actually the first footage ever shown of Mario 3.
Yeah, it was like basically this like family drama made into a Nintendo trailer, and also the finale takes place at Universal Studios, which I always thought was really cool.
Dude, the most unhinged thing in this whole movie, though, the part that I was literally like, what the I audibly said what the fuck on the airplane, is when the host, who's like in his 30s and these kids are 12, he goes by this girl with pigtails and he talks about how sexy she is, or how pretty and hot she is, and I'm like,
yeah.
Like what in the actual fuck?
Stranger Danger, the movie.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very, very good analysis of it.
Yeah, what is cool though, the dinosaurs they visit is it Cabazon? It's actually like halfway between LA and Palm Springs, so you can actually go there and visit.
It's around Indio, actually.
India, yeah.
I think because actually it's funny, the Cabazon band of Native Americans, I'm gonna say Cabazon band of Indians, that's what they call themselves, so I'm not saying that word derogatory, that's what they call themselves. They own a Fantasy Springs casino out there in Indio, California.
Nice,
cool.
So you can't go inside them, I don't think, but you can like walk up to them. It's pretty cool.
What, the casino?
No, the dinosaurs.
Oh, sorry. I was like, the whole point.
You're not allowed in the casino. No,
they want you to go inside there.
But yeah, this is a wonderfully directed episode. It's so economical for 25 minutes. It's like boom, 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 like the way they set up the characters, and then they get you to the theater, quote unquote. And then there's also all those little hints that something is wrong.
There's two things I noticed in this I haven't noticed previously. Is one, when they go through, I forget what doors they go through, but there's bloody handprints on one of the doors. And another one is when they first talk to the guy dressed as the doctor, his name badge actually says the mental asylum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
At least I think it did. I could have been insane too. I was watching it last night on some edibles, but yeah.
One, me, I'm a stickler for goofs or plot holes. One thing I do wonder is who put the ad for this is specifically in that place. If you're assuming that, how long have they actually been there, like unsupervised, that no one noticed? I would think it'd only be like a day.
I don't know, but yeah, you don't know that. You don't know that because unless, granted, this is the 90s, right? Unless someone's coming to check on them, they're not cell phones or anything. So, well, you would think though, you'd wonder, why your significant other hasn't come home from work in the past 5 days, and then I think
Right.
yeah, okay, I'm with you on this because the first place I would check is work.
Yeah, or if like another shift is coming in. There's some questions.
Yeah,
but
or they just kill all the shifts.
I'm not gonna let that get in the way. It's still a really, really fun episode, and again, this is one definitely based very closely on the comic. I don't remember the exact, but the plot is relatively the same. Where these guys, I think it's like 3 burglars or something like that, and they're trying to get into this place to steal money. And the I don't remember exactly, but the whole thing about someone being made into York is from the comic, which is like pretty grisly. And I think a lot of the themes in this of like your self-image, your self-esteem, I think many people can relate to. Our friend Eric from Bloody Good Horror, on this week's episode, they reviewed The Fly, and Eric was talking about how he was watching some of these episodes, and he came down to basically these are all written by middle-aged men who need to go to therapy.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jon Lovitz's character definitely could have benefited from talking to someone about his insecurities.
No, 100%. And what's funny is I think Jon Lovitz even said, and granted, I remember I read this about the first time we reviewed this years and years ago, and he said that this is the point where he was trying to really make that push to being a more leading man in Hollywood. And in this episode is the worst he's ever felt about his body.
Yeah, which
is kind of crazy to think when and I don't mean this in a bad way, but he definitely has been heavier later on in his career. But at this point, like early 90s, I mean, we're a very aesthetic society now, but I think we're really kind of turning that corner to understanding that body positivity is a good thing, that it's okay to look different or be different. But back then, like I think but this is the era of like anorexia. You have to be anorexic to be pretty. Yes, and I'm not saying we're not still dealing with that. Don't get me wrong. But I do think it's but I think like he just thought for a leading man he couldn't have the extra weight.
I mean, and also the way they talk about him, you think he's like grossly obese or something. He's not. Like he's relatively average for a man his age.
I watched an old episode of The Simpsons where they're making fun of Homer's weight, and he steps on a scale and he's like 250 pounds.
Oh gosh, I wish.
That's how I felt too. I was like, God damn, like I've been way heavier than that many times in my life. For the record, Jason's phone just went off during the episode. So if you see him by podcast rules, he owes you a beer. I'm just saying.
There you go. But this is a highly enjoyable. Just to wrap it up, though, this is a highly enjoyable episode. It's got everything you want. It's got some nice gore. Like again, when they show the real skull with the eye sticking out, it actually reminded me of the Tales From The Crypt Amicus poster. I wonder if that was like part of what their inspiration for that.
Oh, maybe
the skull.
I mean,
with one eyeball.
I'm pretty sure you got a guy you could ask.
Not that worked on the original, but yeah.
Okay, no, yeah, again, never mind.
But yeah, it's a really cool. It's just such a grisly idea. It just tickles me. And then of course we get that great gag of the fake head of Jon Lovitz and the dog just picking it up that they threw out.
Man, I love that prop because it's pretty it's not a great prop. It's not a great prop by any means, but it's very whimsical, and I think it fits so well with the aesthetic of this episode.
Right, I love that you can see through his mouth, kind of through the back, where like they kind of tore the skull out. Yeah. But I mean, like in reality, if you were tearing someone's skin off of a face, it wouldn't like keep its shape like that. It's holding its shape around something.
You were you? I can't remember if you were on You weren't on Necronomicon with us, but like, did you end up watching the movie though?
Not yet. It's on my list.
So at the end, I'll just say like Lovecraft's wrestling with this guy, and his first instinct is to start tearing the guy's face off. And I don't know why it makes me laugh every time I watch that part, because I'm just like, your first instinct in a fight is to rip someone's face off. You might need to go to therapy. Right. That's gonna be my new catchphrase on here. It's gonna be, you might need to go to therapy. Yes. I'll workshop that. It's fun.
I mean, I think anyone can benefit from therapy. So
yeah.
I guess is a stronger word.
Dad advice: fucking talk to somebody.
Talk to many people.
Yeah. But don't trauma dump on somebody unless you set that.
Yes. And also, yeah, if someone's trying to trauma dump on you, set a boundary.
I remember my last tattoo session. My tattoo artist, who I mentioned, he's a close friend of mine at this point. We're very close friends and very similar people on very many wavelengths. But the last time I went to go see him, it's been a while, but last time I went to go see him, I just seen him do stand up the night before, where he does this whole like bit about, hey, I'm your tattoo artist, I'm not your therapist. About sometimes like he'll never meet someone, they'll sit down and suddenly they'll be like, yeah, I have 8 kids and I don't know how to handle this. He's like, I'm just gonna finish drawing this flower. I got there and he goes, hey, while I'm tattooing you, you can't leave. I'm gonna trauma dump on you. And he goes, is that okay?
My wife got a tattoo recently, and I guess the tattoo artist was trauma dumping on her.
Dude, the wildest thing ever though is like everyone in an Uber ride and the Uber driver just starts trauma dumping on you, and I'm just like, I'm just drunk and want to get home. I'm way too drunk or high to deal with this.
Speaking of 90s HBO, I miss Taxi Cab Confessionals. That show was wild.
You know, I never even watched it. I know what it was. I think I've watched more Cash Cab than Taxi Club.
I like Cash Cab too. I'm sure if you go on YouTube, you can find some of those. It gets crazy. So basically, for those that don't know, it was kind of like a pre-reality show in a way, where they would like take a taxi cab in Vegas or in New York, and they would put like cameras and stuff inside. And on these like taxi rides, they just have like these like real life taxi drivers just try to get the people to talk about whatever's going on. And all those people like coming out of bars are obviously drunk and everything. And obviously afterwards they would sign rights, but they didn't know while they were like talking that they were being filmed. They didn't know until after the fact. So you're getting these like really genuine conversations that these strangers are having with a taxi driver. And the stuff they talk about gets really crazy.
Yeah. I can only imagine. But you know what we need? I finally figured out our $10 Patreon tier, Jason. I just figured it out.
Yeah.
It's Jason and Mondo review Real Sex.
Oh,
by HBO.
No. Not touching out with the 10-foot pole.
Not even.
I think you and Kelly should do that. That'd be much more entertaining.
Jason, would you touch it with a 10-centimeter pole, though?
No.
No, I'm not going to review Real. Actually, hey, you don't want to know what? If someone says, hey, I'll join the $10 tier if you do at least one, I'll get my wife to do one with me. She'll do one, no problem with me.
There you go.
But I need one of our Patreons to reach out and say they want it before I do it, because I'm not doing that shit for free. A man of taste.
There we go. All right, what do you rate this episode?
4.5. Ah, God, I'm so now this one. I'm getting soft in my old age, Jason. I always say I never rate something up. You know what? I take that. I think I gave it 4.5 the first time around. After watching it again, I love it even more. I am going with the amount of in pro wrestling, a 3 count will win you the match. But if you're King Kong Bundy, you would demand the referee make a 5 count. I've used that joke before, but we're throwing it back.
I still don't get this time either, but that's okay.
So when King Kong Bundy would pin his opponents in wrestling, you know that there's a 3 count and you win the match.
Yeah.
The referee hit 3 and he'd say no 5, and the referee count to 5 because he was so badass. Also,
while he was pinning someone, or while he was being pinned.
While he was pinning somebody. How if you're being pinned, you're unconscious.
I don't know how wrestling works. Like, no, actually, I need 2 more. Just give me a second.
You have. If you count to 5, I have a chance to get out. That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
I do enjoy some humor in pro wrestling when it's stuff like that, but that would actually be funny as hell if a guy got pinned for 3 and he argued that he thought it was a 5 count. It's supposed to be 5. So 5.
5. Yeah, this is a 5 for me. And this is like, it might not be the flashiest episode ever. It might have been the most epic or the most gory or whatever, but is like the most like even high level even of all episodes. Like, again, this is quintessential Tales that I would show anyone that's interested in it. This would be an excellent starting point.
It has such a good mix of like the actual kind of gooey horror and the theatrical, and the twist.
The actors. It's something for like every generation a little bit.
Perfectly campy enough. Like it's fun.
Right. And again, because it's taking place in this like kind of artsy troupe, you're kind of like going along with it too. So it kind of lets people act big and broad within confines without being like, oh, Oh, they're really going for that. So yeah, I give this a 5. You know, this is probably easily top 5 episodes of all time for me, just for that. It's like it hits everything, you know, at a very high level.
Hell yes.
All right, and with that, let's take a quick break for a shout out.
Hi, I'm Alan Katz. I wrote and produced Tales from the Crypt. In fact, I co-created The Crypt Keeper and wrote every word he ever said. And you're listening to Dads from the Crypt.
I love it. I love Al so much.
Al's the man.
And also one of the nicest human beings I can say I've ever had the pleasure of meeting.
Yeah.
Like every time I talk to him, meet him, I feel like he's more excited to talk to me than I am to talk to him, and I'm just
yeah. All right, Mondo, give us your song of the day.
So there's not a whole lot of, like, you would think Shakespeare would lead very well to the genre of metal, but there are not a whole lot of metal bands that are like, let me tackle this Shakespeare stuff. But there have been a few. So there is a band. So there's a word. Have you heard of ophthalmia?
No.
It's an old word meaning like pressure in the eyeball or something. But there's a band from the early 90s Norwegian scene, or Swedish scene, I think Swedish, I should say, called Abruptum. And it was fronted by the man named It. He was It because he was too evil to have a name. Whoa. And he was like of Ronnie James Dio stature. He's a little guy. But they made this side project called Ophthalmia, which was he kind of created his own fantasy world and own characters and stuff, like probably to do something with it that never got along. Unfortunately, he passed away, I believe, in the past 10 years or so. But this band, Ophthalmia, is like an offshoot of Abruptum, but arguably might have put out better music, especially from that earlier scene. They came out around early 90s, like 91, 92 during their demos. But the last full-length record they did, which was in 1998, was called Dominion. I think it was their 4th album, and it was actually a retelling of Macbeth. Oh, cool. Which is pretty neat. And one of my favorite songs on this record is a song called Great Are the Deeds of Death. So I think it fits in very well with the Hamlet aesthetic. And I do think they're really a great band. And some bands that those early scenes, like everybody, even what's kind of crazy is even now, like when I was in high school and wearing a Mayhem shirt because I was cool and edgy, not a whole lot of people knew who Mayhem was. And now I think they've almost worked their way into culture to where everybody kind of knows about their early Norwegian black metal and all that stuff. And this is one of the bands that kind of, I think, flew under that radar a little bit with Abruptum. And then with the side project especially, but I do think the side project Ophthalmia is even better than the original. But check them out. Ophthalmia. The album is Dominion, and the song is Great Are the Deeds of Death. A fun little ditty that I think everyone should be able to appreciate if you are a connoisseur of fine music.
Nice. Love it. All right. Since Jody's not here, we do have some horror news that I want to go over, and we're also kind of make this kind of a hot take combo session because
Jody, wherefore art thou, Jody?
There's some interesting news that has a lot of people giving some hot takes. So basically, you know, we're all huge fans of Nightmare on Elm Street, the original series. You know, what a great 7-movie run that was on, you know, in like less than 10 years. Because the original came out in 84, Nightmare came out like 91, 92, actually maybe 93, maybe 94. Either way,
new Nightmare is 94.
Okay, so in 10 years, 7 movies, which is crazy. But like for as much as that like took over fandom by the way, and then like in the early 2000s we had Freddy versus Jason, which I'll go to the bat for. I mean, some of the like some of the filmmaking of that time doesn't hold up as well, but like I have so much fun with that movie.
It's 90s music video filmmaking,
early 2000s new metal crap.
It's Freddy being Freddy, it's Jason being Jason, and all I can tell you is I saw this on opening night, and they also, did you know in Vegas they did a press conference?
Yeah, I love that footage.
You might know somebody that was there.
Oh shit, I didn't know that. New Mondo lore.
But I couldn't go and watch the movie afterwards because afterwards they bust everybody to the movie. But I had to go to work, and which is my dad advice for the week out there is young people. I didn't remember that day I had at work, but if I'd have called out and gone to that movie screening, I'd remember that movie screening. So that's a
awesome.
life pro tip. But Freddy versus Jason, dude, that movie's so much goddamn fun. And
Yeah,
you know,
it's really fun.
dude, Ronnie he admitted he's a pro wrestling fan and he put this intentionally in, but there's spots where Freddy is dropping the bionic elbow, if you will, by Dusty Rhodes right onto Jason. And I was like, and then he said he admitted in the commentary that he was a fan of old wrestling, and that was supposed to be Dusty Rhodes' bionic elbow. And I thought that was like the best thing ever.
And then in 2010, I believe we got the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which was awful. Boo. And we haven't had anything since. And Robert Englund's gone to an age where like he physically can't do that role anymore.
He said he'd be interested in doing like the voice if they did something animated,
but voice, but
he
like,
wouldn't. Yeah. I heard someone, again, I don't know the validity of this, but someone says even at cons now, he has to like cap off like the 100 signatures because he has carpal tunnel. He's,
I mean,
dude, like,
to get some rest.
I had to do an application for a vendor application for casino. I had to sign my name 10 times and my wrist hurt. I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah. Especially now we don't write anything anymore because we're always typing. So like, whenever I have to like sign forms for my kids, my hand gets a cramp after like a couple signatures.
And that's not a knock on him. It's just he's aging and he doesn't want to, he has to be realistic with what he wants to do and what he can do.
So fast forward to this week, and there was new reporting that there is a potential studio face-off between Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers, both eyeing separate Nightmare on Elm Street movie projects. So as you know, there's a merger potentially happening that keeps getting like, there's a lawsuit, there's a lawsuit, back and forth. It's going to happen eventually. It's kind of the thinking. And basically both studios are trying to work on their own property, and I think they're trying to see who can get along the furthest so they can get a leg up on each other because the rights are split. So here's some details I'm going to read out. So Paramount closed a deal for the U.S. rights to Wes Craven's original 84 script, licensed through the Wes Craven estates. Therefore, they're developing under Paramount's new division, Paramount Primal, which it's a weird name, and they are going to basically remake the original Nightmare based on Wes Craven's script. That's what they're looking to do. They don't have any director or anything announced yet. That's kind of what they're trying to do, which we'll give our commentary in a minute. And then the other side is that Warner Brothers, they're trying to make their own version, and because they own like the greater film rights, and they have international territories, and they want Lee Cronin, who just did the Evil Dead Rise and The Mummy, to write and produce and direct. So I don't know which option I dislike more.
I don't like any of it. I am positive on Lee Cronin for the most part. I do like it. Hold on. But I do think, I think in your mind, you're thinking that his style doesn't work with the Mummy property. And obviously the Mummy property was not a Mummy property. But I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. But I also, what's funny is when I was watching it, I knew you hated it, and I was watching it, and I was like, I enjoy this, but I also could, I guarantee you, I could just write out all the reasons you hate it, and and they're all valid. Like there's a lot not to like in that movie.
I mean, if you want to know more about my thoughts, you can go to the Bloody Good Horror episode where I was a guest.
Again,
I mean, in a way, I can see.
I listened to you. I wanted to hear you when I wasn't.
In a way, I could see what Lee Cronin would do, but I want him to do something original. And like add some color and some levity. His stuff is so grim. It just like impressive in a way. It just ugh. Well, on the other hand, do I want another carbon copy of the original Nightmare on Elm Street? No, not at all.
No, I don't think you can do that. And I do think, and I think it was Eric that brought this up. I think if you do a shot for shot of the original, whoever plays Freddy is immediately you're setting up for 100%. They could do the best job ever, and they could be better than Robert, and people are still going to hate it because it's not Robert.
And I like Jackie. I thought Jackie did a good job of what he was given. I think if they give him another movie, I think that was original content. I think he would be much better.
The way he moved his body and the way he played that role menacing, I thought was amazing. Like he was the spot in that movie. Him, and I actually liked the female lead and the male lead.
Rooney and Kyle. Is it Kyle Gone? Not Kyle Gone. It's the other guy.
Thomas. I want to call him Thomas Decker.
Yeah, I think it's Thomas Dekker.
Yeah. I
They're
know him
okay for that time.
I know him through a friend, and he's actually, I think he's a pretty good actor. But I think they were good in that movie. I think they actually put in some interesting ideas behind that movie,
Yeah.
some real ones. Like, and they actually try to make Freddy menacing again, but they gave him like the most sophomoric bullshit. It was a horrible script.
Yeah.
Realistically, with a better script, the idea behind it works with a better script.
Again, or the next one where they could actually get away from the original and go off and do their own thing.
So I kind of think so. I have no faith in any of this. I have no faith they could raise Lucio Fulci from the dead and put him in charge of this, and I would have no faith in this, because
I mean,
whenever you have now we have two movie studios that are racing. So no matter what, it's going to be rife. It's going to be full of studio interference. There is no doubt about that, because imagine you say it's going to take a little bit of time to do a really cool effect. They're going to be like, no, it's not.
Well, it's the old like thing in business where they say you can either have it fast and cheap, but bad, or like bad and cheap, but not, like
you can have it.
You can't have quality, time, and expense. One of those things is going to have to give.
Yeah. And I just think like my idea, so there were actually some really good you can find them, I think, on the Internet Archive, a lot of old when it also happened, there's also a run of Friday the 13th novels and Nightmare on Elm Street novels, and some of the concepts in there are really smart and really actually well done. And I recently downloaded all of them. I think it's legal because it's the Internet Archive, and I've read them all, and there are some really good ideas what they do on Freddy that still, they don't change the lore, but they put them in different scenarios that make it very interesting. And I think there's so much stuff you can do with that. I think to do a shot for shot remake of the original is lazy. And I kind of promise you that any director I promise you Lee Cronin even doesn't want to do a shot for shot remake of the original. They want to do something that they can kind of put their own stamp on. I also have thought of the idea of maybe taking it in a direction where Freddy's not even in the movie. Freddy doesn't exist. Freddy exists in this world, but this is another dream demon. Because you'd have to assume if they... Yeah, and I think that could actually be very, very smart, like a dream demon with a different way he kills people. Or my other thought is do an origin. I know they did that with Freddy's Nightmares, but do a full origin film, because I think what you could actually do is have Robert Englund in the movie as not Freddy, play a different character, but they can have an interaction, and that can kind of be the kind of like cool little passing of the torch and him putting his stamp on the new actor. And I think people would forgive that at that point.
Right. Yeah. I don't think there's any way you can ever actually do the character Freddy, because the series is called Nightmare on Elm Street. It's about nightmares. It's not about Freddy. I mean, yeah, in the later movies they call him Freddy, but whatever. I do like the idea of taking the concept of that and putting it with a new character. Whether that character is going to be successful is going to be up to casting and writing and directing.
Yeah.
I just don't want like some big goopy CG Lee Cronin fest that.
I just watched In the Mouth of Madness again last night because one of my favorite movies of all time. And I was thinking the same thing. There's a scene where Trent or Sam Neill is running from the, I guess, Lovecraftian abominations, and it's so good because it's so slimy and it's all practical. And I'm thinking like, man, if they did this, and I told my wife, I said they do this nowadays, it'd be CGI, and it would kind of look cool, but it wouldn't have this. It hits your senses differently when you know that's something somebody constructed.
Well, because Sam Neill is like running scared shitless on that thing because he thinks it's going to run him over, because it actually could run him over. And I love about that thing is in some shots you can actually see the people behind pushing it.
Yeah,
you can see they're like holding up. You can see they're all connected by this big bar, and these people like holding it and running it.
Guys, anybody listening and new listeners, we did a In the Mouth of Madness review as well. You can go back and check out on YouTube or our archives.
Also, I don't think we recorded since then, but shout out R.I.P. Sam Neill.
Yeah,
that's a real hard one.
I've been on a Sam Neill kick. Sam Neill is legit one of my favorite actors of all time. Like, it's funny, I didn't realize that till we were talking about something. I was like, I do love him in every movie I've ever seen him in. Like, I got a little man crush going there. Plus, he owns like a farm where he names his animals after his old co-stars, and it's just so goddamn wholesome. But I'm also, was it cancer he passed from?
I forget, but something.
It was an illness.
Like that, yeah.
But I'm also watching In the Mouth of Madness, chain smoking. I'm like, please, just maybe you just stop smoking in this movie. It'll change the future, and maybe in this now you're not.
Yeah. We did a whole month of Sam Neill movies. We did the Month of Madness. We did Event Horizon, which is another amazing Sam Neill performance.
Dead Calm.
And we did Dead Calm. Yeah, Billy Zane. Whew.
Dude, that movie is one of those movies that, like, another one that I never even really heard of until we talked about it. And I'm like, how the fuck did I never see this movie? It's so good. It's basically, dare I say, like Sam Neill out being better than Robert. It's better than Cape Fear, I think. I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's very Cape Fear.
I think it's better.
I haven't seen Cape Fear in a long time. I heard supposedly there's a mini series.
There's an Apple TV series right now, which they knocked it so far out of the park with Widow's Bay, and there's another one on there too, and I forgot the name of it. That's getting a lot of press. I need to listen. I need to watch, but Apple TV is like low key just doing this incredible stuff.
Yeah, I need to finish Widow's Bay. I'm like 3 episodes left. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. And again, those are kind of our hot takes on, if they are going to do anything with the Nightmare on Elm Street property, move away from Freddy, move on. It could be like, you can have Freddy in the background or something like that. You can have Robert Englund do like a voice, representing the Dream Demons or whatever. But like, let's leave the Freddy character in the B.
Dude, those last couple seasons of the Duffer Brothers with Stranger Things was basically them. They got Robert Englund, and I remember when that came out because my daughter was ahead of me on the show, and they messaged me. I said, "Oh my god, episode like did you fangirl out?" I'm like, I squealed a little bit when Robert showed up on screen. But they basically already their resume is right there for Nightmare on Elm Street. They're basically begging a studio to give them money to do a Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think they would actually fucking kill it.
Yeah. Yeah, if someone was if they were gonna make it set in the 80s, yada yada, I would definitely
in any time period. The way they do their dream sequences, like we have like, again, as a guy who's anti CGI, but not anti CGI, but CGI in the right places, right? I am still like, we have so much more technology now to do these crazy dreamscapes. And God, all I want is some crazy people having some crazy ass dreams. Like in one of the books, Freddy has a Vlad the Impaler field of souls.
Cool,
right? Exactly. Jason literally said, "Cool."
That's metal as fuck.
I've never heard you say it that way, and I kind of love it. Like that was a natural reaction. Like fucking your animalistic instincts took over.
Fucking A, man. All right. Well, don't know what we're doing next week, but we hope you'll be joining us. Either this week, either you're hearing this now, and next week we'll probably have our review of Chattanooga Film Festival out, or you're hearing this, and the previous week we had that out. So one of the two things is going to happen. Right. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone for listening. We would really appreciate if everyone would give us a rating and review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Dads From The Crypt Talk on TikTok. And with that, I thank you for listening to Dads From The Crypt.
Adios.
Follow Dads From The Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.